Sports always plug.
Back is Dorsey to throw. Yeah! He throws it in the end zone. Yeah! It's in.
He's got it up and in. To the races. Can they catch it? Cuts it back.
The Ohio State of Mind podcast, hosted by Josh Keatley, Chris Reynolds.
Your number one stop for all Buckeye football news.
What's in the box?
A boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat.
This is such a crock of shit.
Hoo-ah!
The Ohio State of Mind podcast. Turn it up.
Oh no, it went back.
Number one stop for
Number two stop went back around again. Welcome. It is Monday. This is the Ohio State of Mind podcast. As always, I am Chris. To my left, my elite Big Ten gambling loser for this week, Josh. Josh, how are you?
Doing good, man. Just got a message from Justine to not yell. So apparently, our pre-show conversation where I was bitching about Luke Fickell got a little out of hand. Okay, so I'll try to temper it down for now that we're in the deep. But yeah, man, did not have a great game. Did not have a great weekend. A lot of injuries. We know a lot about a lot of teams. I only bet on 2 Big Ten games this week. I bet on Iowa, or I bet on Rutgers, which I lost that game. But there's some solace in that because I think Iowa might be better than I thought. But then there's the other one where there's I can't take any comfort in it at all. That was Wisconsin. Holy shit. Like I'm talking to some of my friends and I'm like, dude, how, dude, they're not just bad. We talked about UCLA, but UCLA has, it's been a long time since UCLA was a powerhouse, right? Like I would say UCLA has not been a powerhouse since like the early 2000s, right?
Agreed.
Maybe not even then, and maybe like 3 fleeting years. But Wisconsin used to be a fucking juggernaut. You're talking Jonathan Taylor, Melvin Gordon, James White, Chris Chambers, Lee Evans, J.J. Watt. I mean, these are they had moments of dominance, and they're horrible. They're horrible. They're bad. They play pussy football. They're weak. They're soft. It blows my mind how bad Luke Fickell destroyed that program. Now, I know I talked about Colby a lot last year. Well, shout out to Colby and shout out to the College Football Experience podcast. The College Experience podcast. They gave us a shout out last week. I don't know if you heard that or not on their recap show. 30 minutes into it. So big. Yeah, so shout out to them too. But we talked about when Luke Fickell got hired, and he was asking my opinion on it, and I said that was a bad hire. That was a bad hire. So I'm on the record saying it's about because Cincinnati was just such an easy place to recruit in the AAC, and they always struggled. They always struggled. He used the benefit of being at Ohio State. Just the things that got him by Cincinnati were never going to work at Wisconsin. I don't think he's a bad coach. I just knew that he was not ready for that job because Wisconsin was already kind of on the dip down. It's just I don't know how he has a job right now. I really don't. And he really messed up trying to do the dairy raid. Really messed up. It's crazy how bad they are. I mean, they're bad. Maryland's not a good team. Maryland is not a good team, and they got the shit kicked out of them.
No,
from the
get.
get.
They're not a good team. Run down for the podcast today. We're going to talk Ohio State's matchup with Washington this Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. We're going to look at the rest of the Big Ten Week 5 games. But no, honestly, like you're elaborating, it was an eye-opening weekend for Big Ten football. We found out what Indiana's about. We found out what that Indiana crowd is about, and I think we sadly might have seen that Illinois just wasn't ready for it. We saw that Nebraska has made a small step forward, but they still, struggle to make a big play when a big play is needed. There's confidence issues. We saw Michigan look not that damn good, but the running game looks solid, and that's what you expect out of Michigan. couple other eye openers as well. But it was Big Ten put the rest of college football on notice, I think, this week.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the. I mean, do you want to talk about the Indiana Illinois game a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Indiana absolutely mollywopped Illinois, and we didn't really talk about it much on the show. I know that I did take Illinois when we did our spread pick 'em.
I did well. Yes,
I did not. Oh, okay. So we're both on the same page. Now, I was speaking to a buddy later on in the week. They're like, "Hey, I think I'm going to take Illinois in the points." And I said, if it were me and I was going to bet on Illinois, which I didn't, I would take the money line, right? And you and I kind of briefly, we talked about this the week before with Indiana. How they work is you'll see it with Ryan Day. Go back and watch Ryan Day coach against Texas. When he goes up by, let's say, 2 touchdowns, which is fair. I think a lot of coaches do this. This is not me bashing on Ryan Day. The play calling, it differs. Now you're in maintain, right? Signetti doesn't do that. Shit snowballs, especially against a team like Illinois, where they do have the horses to try to come back, and they just failed miserably, right? Yeah. So you have a mixture of Signetti not letting up, and then Illinois trying to push the ball down the field. Now, what makes this Indiana team different than last year's Indiana team, and you and I kind of talked about this. I think that this Indiana team, I don't know if it's quote unquote better, but I think it definitely looks better right now because it has the horses in the trenches. I think that a team. I mean, we know Illinois has a very tough offensive line. We know they have we know they're tough on defense for sure. We saw them just destroy Duke. Illinois looked tough this year. In Indiana, I mean, especially on Indiana's defensive line, it was brutal. I think Illinois and that Bielema team had like less than 50 yards rushing for the entire game, if I'm right.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, that's insanity. That's insanity. An Indiana team from the past couldn't do that even if they dreamed to because they just didn't have the horses. So it is something to monitor. I think Indiana has, before last week I told you Illinois is probably my number 1 ranked power. If I had to rank the Big Ten teams, I mean, Indiana for sure is taking that spot. There's just a lot to like about them. Their running game too. I know Fernando Mendoza has been getting all the hype, but their running game looks great. I mean, Roman Hemby. It looked great, on Saturday, and like you just said, hey, Roman Hemby coming over, already an established running back, in the Big Ten, going into last year, but coming over to this offense now. Hey, they replaced 2 running backs, that were their ball carriers, their breadwinners, and Roman Hemby is taking up that role perfectly. And he's better. Yeah, he is better, and you're a big advocate for Rourke at quarterback last year, Curtis Rourke at quarterback last year, and he was a gamer, he was a playmaker, but Mendoza can sling the fucking ball better. It's hard for me to get over. I'm still not the biggest Mendoza guy. I just think that, but he's definitely good. He's definitely good. Right, he's going to be competing for all Big Ten honors, right? Some of the work bias too is because I know he was hurt last year, but I don't know if it would have. Mendoza's good, but Signetti's old. I think that Signetti's is going to find a quarterback no matter. Like if Mendoza got hurt tomorrow, I don't know if Indiana stops going along. It's their offensive line and their defensive line and their running back. I mean, I know BB's hurt. That was the other transfer running back from UAB who was the catcher out of the backfield. I know he's out for the year. Yeah. But that guy was a hoss too. I mean, we went to the Ohio State-Indiana game last year, and the running backs did not look like Ohio State's running backs. Roman Hemby looks like the best running. I mean, it's just they look really impressive. I mean, we saw a number of these Indiana offensive linemen. Carter Smith, Ohio State tried to get him because he entered the portal for a brief period. Pat Coogan started at Notre Dame. He got hurt, and I was there. Zen Mikulski, I don't even think he started in Indiana. That guy started games at Ohio State, right? Because he didn't start Saturday, did he?
He did not.
Yeah. See, so like that, they have a starter from Ohio State sitting the bench. It's really impressive what they've been able to do.
Yeah. No. Also, as begrudgingly as I am to say this, neither team looked impressive on the field in Omaha, Nebraska. There, but the Michigan-Nebraska game, it was worth the watch. Everybody in the fans, they got their price of admission in full, let alone on just the Hail Mary right before halftime. It was a fun game to watch. It seemed like Michigan wanted to give Nebraska every opportunity under the stars to get back into this game, and they just couldn't make a play. And I think I made the comment as well to you over the weekend. Michigan, that defense, not the greatest defense, but they have a group of 11 guys that like laying the fucking wood to you. And when it came down to the that last drive of the ball game for Michigan, it was just, hey, here are my 11, here's your 11. We're going to run the ball every down. We're going to run the ball where it's going to be split between either my split set of running backs here in the backfield and this gun or this pistol, or this quarterback's going to keep it. And there was no secret about it. And Nebraska just couldn't stop it.
Yeah. You and I think we both kind of nailed that handicap last week because I think we both took Michigan, begrudgingly, because we were both like, Bryce Underwood's got to travel to Lincoln. Lincoln's going to be a pretty intense place to play. We thought Nebraska was going to be better. I don't know if that's true now. Hard to say, right? The problem, but yeah, it was just classic Michigan where the defense is still a Michigan defense, and they're going to be ground. It doesn't matter how much money you give that freshman; they're ground and pound. This is a ground and pound Michigan team. This is a team that's going to rely on their run game, and that's fine. That's great. That's probably where they should be. I think Sean Morris, it reflects him as a human being. Of course, Biff Poggi was the one calling the plays again,
right?
But yeah, Nebraska, it's just one of those things where I don't want to take anything away from Michigan, but like I just kind of is Michigan is Nebraska soft? Has Matt Rule not figured it out there? Is Dylan Raiola not that good? There are definitely some questions there. I think it's probably just a quality one for Michigan. Yeah. And I'm shit on Nebraska too much, but it is interesting, right? Because this is the second time we've done the whole is Nebraska good thing, right?
Yeah,
right. That's the only other team that they played with a pulse, right?
Yes. Absolutely. No, absolutely. Josh, any thoughts on the AFL Grand Final this weekend? I'll hang up and listen next.
Now, I did find it interesting that as I was going through my little football stuff, the Ferris State, D2 Ferris State in Michigan, their quarterback last year was a lacrosse player at Johns Hopkins.
Oh,
hadn't played football since the senior year in high school, and they just made him quarterback and won like 20 games in a row or some shit like that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, super, super interesting. Just ran quarterback power basically every play. Fun fact.
Why not? Well, we've got.
I don't know why I said that. Because AFL's rugby, right? That's not even lacrosse, right? Oops, sorry.
We're on the same. Oh, every time I do this, you disappear on me. We do have a big time Buckeye game this week, though. We have a big time game. These tickets are sold out. I was doing my thumbing, I was trooping the lines looking for tickets for the wife, daughter, and I the last couple weeks here. We weren't walking in there for under $300 a pop. So
really?
Yeah, and I mean, we might be able to find something on the retail market, but I'm probably just going to watch this one at home. You've got number 1 Ohio State. AP poll, coaches poll came out this Sunday. Buckeyes still sitting in the top spot despite the bye week. You've got Washington coming off of the thumping of Washington State, Wazoo, if you would, in the Apple Cup.
Yeah.
Let's call a spade a spade. Washington really hadn't played anybody before Wazoo, and even saying they played somebody in Wazoo isn't that big of a brag there either. But looking at just sheer numbers, if there's some stat guys out there, Washington is second in the nation for points per game. Mind you, they've played nobody with pulse, but they have averaged 55.5 points a game. With that being said, the Buckeyes are number 1 in points allowed in the nation. Yes, they have played Grambling State. Yes, they played a 75% Parker Navarro-less Ohio University, but they did play Texas, in fact.
Who might blow though?
Right.
Texas might blow. Who thought we'd say that, dude? The game
I would. You asked me, a month or so back, I would say, hey, is the Washington quarterback Williams, is he the best quarterback Ohio State's faced so far? And he might be. He might be. He might be.
And the Grambling quarterback might be number 2. Or no, Parker Navarro's 1. And then
Parker Navarro with one leg is 1 or 2. Yes.
Yeah. We're shit on Arch too much. But yeah, you make a good point. So let's talk about Washington a little bit. So Washington looked good. They look good. Like you said, the quarterback is fun, right? I think, I would admit that I'm wrong on him more than Fernando Mendoza, because I do think that I expected him to stumble out of the blocks a little bit.
Right.
It hasn't really happened. Now, like you said, they haven't really played anybody to make him stumble out of the block, but it's the Washington State it's still a rivalry game. I think Washington State this was the first win. I mean, the Washington State's won 2 in a row against these motherfuckers.
2 in a row before this one, yes.
Yeah, so it's like, and they sucked last year too. So it's not super, it's still a rivalry game, I guess is my point. Anything can happen, right? That's their Michigan. But yeah, he's looked great. The defenses look great. They grabbed Tacario Davis from Arizona, who finally followed Jed Fish over, and he's locked down. Maybe the best defensive back in all of college football. Denzel Boston is great, just like his pa. He should be at Ohio State. It's David Boston's kid. He's phenomenal. Jonah Coleman's a great running back, right? And he's not the only one. I think they split carries, and the other guy's very good as well. I can't remember his name. Muhammad.
Yes.
But yeah, Washington's cool. But let's. So we talked about the positives. Let's talk about some of the negatives, right? They did look great, but they also kind of dressed up that score a little bit. It was 24-10 going into half.
Right.
Absolutely. And then Washington State scored 14 points in the third quarter. It wasn't until the fourth quarter Washington scored 28 points to kind of break away.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're absolutely right. Hey, Will. I almost forgot it was Monday. Will, nice to see you back, buddy. How are you? I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No, yeah, and then they played a UC Davis team who blows, right?
Yes.
Not even in the same division. And then they barely beat – I don't want to say – barely is a strong word. They did not look uber impressive against a Colorado State team that ends up being – is probably not very good.
No.
I think Colorado State struggled with someone pretty shitty this past week, right? Then they show like Nevada or some shit.
Something of the sort, yeah.
Yeah, so the resume's not that great. They look good. They do look good. But as far as their resume goes, their resumes, even if Texas does blow, Texas is an 8-win team, right?
Yeah.
If Washington State blows, they're a 3-win team, right? They're different. They're just completely different levels of blow. Ohio's probably gonna win 10 games and win the MAC, right?
I think so.
Colorado State's not going to be anywhere close to hunting for a Mountain West Conference. You know what I mean? They're just different. The resumes are far different.
I agree.
And I don't think Ohio State has shown the same struggles that Washington has. This is going to be the first real defense that Washington has faced.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes,
or at least the best.
I wholeheartedly agree with all that. I'll start back at the beginning. Yeah, you're right. Jonah Coleman's probably one of the best running backs in the Big Ten. He currently leads the nation with 9 touchdowns on the ground as well. 6.8 yards a carry. Yes, he's got 9. He's number 1 in the nation currently. Like you said, hey, David Boston's boy is a stud. He is definitely a fucking stud. It is a shame that he couldn't follow in Daddy's footsteps. 6'4", 210. He's a monster of a receiver.
Yeah.
He didn't break 1,000 yards last season, but look at the Washington receivers on that team in that national championship run as well. It's understandable without question. Will chimes in. Have you guys talked about Indiana, Illinois? Which one are you surprised? We were both surprised. Let's be real. We talked about it, Will, but we were both surprised. Yes. Kind of. Neither one of us had the balls to bet. We both picked Illinois, but both of us were kind of like, We both messaged each other and were like, is this because of the home field advantage or what? And then it was just like, oh, wham, bam. What the fuck?
Yeah, and we talked about the snowball effect and all of that. So we're both surprised, but the Big Ten game that surprised me the most was by far Wisconsin. By far and away, dude. By far and away. If you would have asked me to divvy up my paycheck on Big Ten teams and their performance, most of my money would have went to Wisconsin. beat Maryland, and that did not. Dude, they fucking suck. But anyways, yeah.
No, we're talking about Denzel Boston. With how Arch Manning has sputtered for Texas, shutting down, I think this Washington offense could be a big statement for this Buckeye defense. And we already, consensusly think that the Buckeyes have the best defense in the country. But this could be a big statement, without question. Going on the road, playing, arguably the number one running back in the country, trying to shut down that run. You're going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to move and create. You're going to have weapons on the outside that are going to line up against our number ones that maybe are, fringe first round draft picks on the ends. No, I think this is going to be a fun game. I am upset I didn't jump on these tickets earlier, but it is a 3:30 Eastern CBS game. So I assume it's Gary Daniels and Brad Messler on the call. I assume you wouldn't have to have some kind of fancy app for this one. I don't know anymore. No, just regular CBS. Okay, too easy. No, what I want to see is I want to see what the off or the bye week has brought the Buckeyes. I want to see what was the point of being, what needed to be addressed, or what the team or the staff there felt that needed to be addressed on the with the performance against the Bobcats. I want to see. I'd like to see, but I'm not going to complain if we've got three monsters back there that can tote the rock. I just want to see if there's any type of solidification when it comes to the running back room, or are we still giving everybody their carries? Hey, more power to them. And I want to see Julian Sayin on the road. I think it's probably the biggest thing everybody wants to see when it comes to this Ohio State offense. The running backs, they can, if one can't do it, somebody else will find a way. It's Julian Sayin going on the road, big road. This is 3:30 Eastern, so this is a noon 30 game here on the West Coast. That stadium can get loud. It is a very beautiful stadium, but it can in fact get loud the way it's shaped, and it starts to dome up over top because it wants to cover you from all that rain that Washington gets here. No, I think it's going to be a fun game. I think, like I said earlier, I think this could be a big feather in the cap of the Buckeyes defense, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is that I do think that this is the best defensive backfield that Ohio State is going to go up against by a pretty large margin. I think Tacario Davis is a first-round pick, and they move him around from slot position outside. He look for him to square up against Jeremiah Smith and do well. They got Prysock, who's another Arizona transfer who's going to be fringe up all Big Ten. Alex McLaughlin, that's another transfer from Northern Arizona. I think he was All-American at that FCS level before transferring up to Washington. He had an interception last week. This is a really impressive Markel Easton, Leroy Bryant. All those guys are very, very good. All those guys are very, very good. And I bitched about the wide receivers not busting open like I thought they would against Ohio. So we're gonna see if what the bye week entails, if they're more, creative in how they place. They move Jeremiah Smith around. Another thing I'm ready to eat shit on too, is I think one of the reasons, and my dad kind of pointed this out to me. I was like, yeah, the receivers just aren't like impressing me. Like obviously, like Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Max Clare are good, but like you expect more. You expect someone else to step up, whether it's Ennis or Mylan Graham or whatever, and you expect dominance. And those guys are getting too much of the focus as far as coverage goes. And he's like, because they miss Igbuka. Igbuka was that good. I'm like, oh my god. And Igbuka was not. I don't want to say I shit on him, but that was a guy that I said he's going to struggle in the NFL because he just was never the number one horse. Well, number 1B, it looks like he was. Looks like he was a number one horse. He was just 1B to Jeremiah Smith's 1A. So I really want to see how these receivers play against this really good defensive backfield. I do think this is the best defensive backfield we've seen. And then you talked about too with Denzel Boston. He's not the only one he's not the only receiver Washington has. So the defensive backs are going to get a big test. Texas has got decent receivers too, so I don't want to sit here and act like this is the biggest test, but it might be. Washington does have a couple of guys that can really scoot, right? Amari Evans, that's the kid from Middle Tennessee, I think. Rasheed Williams, And then we talked about Denzel Boston, maybe the best wide receiver. Number 2 in the Big Ten next to Jeremiah Smith. So their tight end's pretty good. So it'll be a big test for the defensive backs as well. But I'm really watching these wide receivers. I want to see something happen.
No, I agree with you as well. And I was just looking up in some of these stats as well. That you said it yourself. Hey, it's a rivalry game. You can expect anything. Levi Eckhouse, a quarterback for Wazoo, the Cougars, he did get picked off twice in that game, but he did in fact go 25 of 36, about 70% completion rate last week, and he threw for almost 300 yards and 2 tuds as well. So there was a little bit of play there without question. Of course, you're going to be down big too, or you're going to be down. You're going to start slinging that ball around. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of
Will jumped back in. True. I was thinking I could still do the illness. I could take the spot. Honestly, I think the last 2 games were predetermined when the plays were called. I wouldn't argue that as well.
Yeah, that might be part of it, right? It's like when you're watching, I'm not at the games anymore, right? So when you're watching on TV, you don't see all the receivers. You don't see where they end up at. You can't really follow what's on the screen and where Julian Sand ends up throwing the ball. You can kind of anticipate where people are going based off of how they break off the line of scrimmage, but that only does so much. So yeah, that might also maybe it's more maybe it's more of a Julian Sand issue, and I'm blaming it on the receivers. So that's entirely possible, Will.
Well, I mean, it's definitely possible, Will, and I don't know if you missed us the week before, but we both kind of briefly elaborated on saying, hey, it seems like a lot of these plays, they're designed plays. They're plays designed for a certain route to be open, a certain crosser to get this, someone here to get some play, something like that. It's something we brought up last week as well, Will. But any last thoughts? We know the Buckeyes opened up as a 9.5-point favorite. Looking at a couple spots, they're down to 9. They're down to 9, my friend.
Yeah, you can actually get this at 8.5 in some spots.
Okay.
That means money's coming in on Washington, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. Honestly, I looked at that 9.5, and I don't know if I'm going to bet it. Probably, I definitely don't have a strong conviction towards it, but if I was going to bet it, it would surely be on Ohio State. So the fact that it's going down to 8.5, the chances of it going down to a key number it kind of already went. Like 9 is a key number. That's 3 field goals.
Yes.
Right. That happens all the time. So I'm kind of blown away by that. I don't know if it's going to come down to 7, but with the money going the way it is, if you're going to bet on Ohio State, wait till Thursday or Friday to play.
Yeah, I'm saying that we've gone down half point and it's Monday. Yeah, man. So.
Because when we sent the spreads to you, what was it when I sent the spreads to you Sunday?
I was like noon Sunday, yeah.
What was the number? Was it 9 or was it just
9.5? 9.5.
Yeah, so it's gone down a full. It's gone down a full point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we can get 8 at some places. So that's pretty insane.
No, I wholeheartedly agree.
Because going from 9.5 to 8.5 is vastly different than going from like 13.5 to 12.5. If that makes sense to anybody, right? Like those are the 9. That 9 is a pretty big number. So.
Oh no, wholeheartedly, man. Will Johnson, surprised by the spread. Is Washington ranked yet? No, they are not. They are still not currently ranked. They are 3-0, and they are not ranked in either the AP or the coaches poll, my friend.
Which is probably rightfully so, based off of what we have. Right? They haven't beaten anybody. They've played nothing.
When you, I could argue the Wazoo or the Colorado State, but when you've got the Carleton or the UC, when you got UC Davidson and Carleton, when you got UC Davidson on there and you're not ranked to start the season, I can see that without question.
Plus, you got all these pollsters that you got to keep ranking Notre Dame. You got to keep that Notre Dame spot. No matter how many games they lose, you got to keep that.
What do we do for college football if Notre Dame and Clemson are not ranked? What are we doing?
Dude, I know, right? Dude, that Clemson game.
Bad.
I didn't touch that, though. I didn't bet that shit.
Well, good on you.
I didn't touch that, dude. Yeah, dude. Clemson.
Yeah. True, but when's the last time an unranked team was an 8 points?
You mean when was the last time an unranked Ohio State was favored by an unranked team by only 8 points?
I think that's more or less where we're going there.
Was Michigan ranked last year? Michigan wasn't ranked last year, were they?
No.
And that spread was definitely under 8 points, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say so.
We'll have to look that up. That's a really good question. We'll try to find the answer to that.
No,
First,
that is-
number one team. Oh, well, now you're getting super specific, brother. Now really
but I mean,
well,
he's got a point. He's got a point when a number one team in the country is facing an unranked opponent. You're seeing 10. You're seeing 12.5.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Like, dude, I don't know. At 9.5, I was looking at Ohio State being like, maybe, you know what I mean? And now it's going down. You know, the factors that, again, the people that make the polls are not the people that make the spreads, right? Who was the game last week where someone was ranked high? There was a team that was ranked higher than the other team. Oh, it was Illinois and Indiana.
Yeah, Illinois and Indiana, but
yeah, Illinois was ranked higher, but Indiana was the favorite.
exactly.
Right? Yeah, so
Yeah,
that happens.
and-
That happens a lot. This,
You blinked and it was 63-10. Yeah.
yeah, and the pollsters are taking in consideration the fact that this is Julian Saint's first road game. That's what this line is reflective of that.
No, I agree with that one.
You're going all the way to the West Coast. It would be interesting to see how many Big Ten teams have covered the spread going to the West Coast. So, because I'm pretty sure that's not a huge percentage. So
That is a good point too. I like that as well. We're gonna do some digging on that one. Looking ahead though, see, you always go away. I just don't have you in fucking mind or something like
another
that.
bitch.
We do have a pretty damn good slate of Big Ten games this week, though. We were a little bit on the shorter side with some bye weeks for week 5 of the Big Ten, but we've got some doozies.
Yeah,
We definitely got some doozies. First up in the slot, USC traveling to Illinois. USC traveling to Illinois. Ignore those times. Those are my West Coast times. If I could
son of a bitch.
find a way to fix it. It is a noon kickoff. It will be in Urbana, Illinois. USC coming in as a 6.5-point favorite as of Sunday. 6.5-point favorite over Illinois at Illinois. What's your take, buddy?
Dude, I'm thinking about putting money on this because I really think Illinois bounces back. I talked about Illinois. They're a tough team. They're a really tough team. They're a good team. They just got – last week was a snowball effect, bro. I stand by that. USC has kind of been sleepwalking through the season a little bit. They looked really good against Missouri State. It was Missouri State's first game in the FBS. In the last couple of games, they've beaten the shit out of their opponent, but it's been kind of like you playing college football on, you know, the second level or whatever. It's like, you know what I mean? I mean, they didn't put Michigan State out of their misery. Michigan State hung around, right? I think Michigan State's a tough team. I think Michigan State is much tougher than a lot of others. I think I took Michigan State with the spread last week, and I think, right? Did Michigan State cover the spread though?
They did.
So we actually won that game. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, but I think that USC's better. I think that USC is pretty solid, but I do think Illinois bounces back, especially if you're giving me 6.5 points and USC's got to come to Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah. Will, again, that Penn State, Oregon, that is the night game. Ignore these Pacific Standard Times. That says 4:30 on the West Coast. That is a 7:30 start on the East Coast. College game day. Pass up Alabama, Georgia. They will be at Happy Valley at State College for Oregon and Penn State, the big game of the week. I would say the bigger game of the week. But back to USC and Illinois.
This game is huge.
This is a huge game.
The game is huge because these teams are not out of it. They're not out of it. I know that everybody's making fun of Illinois, like, oh, they're out of the playoffs. They're not out of the playoffs. Because if Indiana is as good as we think they are, they could win 10 games this year, be in the Big Ten championship against Illinois. Like, and the USC is not out of it either. USC is still very much in the Big Ten championship picture. So these teams are going to be right there in that second tier. Either they have a chance to be in that first tier. Both these teams are very, very much in the playoff race still. So it's a very important game.
I agree. Will Jones back in. No kidding. ESPN at a Big Ten school again. Oh, I hear you, bud. No, I would say I'm in the same boat with you here. I think they have USC has looked good, but they have also looked very lackadaisical at times too. Michigan State, I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're bad. And you know, last year me would call myself crazy, but I think Aiden Childs has gotten better. But I do. I think Illinois and Brett Bielema coming off that season last year where they say, hey, why not us? Why not us? Why can't we be the number 12? And to go into this week and just get absolutely mollywopped at Indiana, I think this is their big game here. I could see this game being closer than a 6.5. So yeah, go ahead and give me Illinois on this one.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree.
Same time in Minneapolis, Minnesota, noon kickoff on the East Coast. Rutgers comes to Minnesota. Minnesota, the home team, a 4.5-point favorite over the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. What do we think?
So this is also an interesting one because this spread has moved up. Money is coming in on Minnesota. Minnesota is now a 5.5-point favorite. Now, see, that number doesn't mean much. That point doesn't really mean much. Those are not key numbers at all. Rutgers, we talked about Rutgers. Rutgers did lose to Iowa. They were in the game. It was not a curb stomping. I think Iowa's pretty good. But it is something to note that they did kind of collapse there towards the end.
Yeah.
And I think Minnesota's coming off of a bye week, right? I just double checked that they're coming off of a bye week. So that is notable. That is notable. So I don't really have a whole lot to defend this pick, but I am going to take Rutgers. I think that Rutgers is good. I think that this offense has proved that it's good, that it's improved. We know that Rutgers is always tough. They just got out-eyed Iowa by Iowa. And, again, this would be a game that I am probably I'm really thinking about betting on, especially if I keep waiting, expecting that line to go up. If I can snag a 6, which I believe that there are some 6s out there, that's a touchdown. That's 2 field goals. That's a big number.
I agree.
For a Big Ten team for a Big Ten game where no one really scores a lot of points. So I very much like Rutgers here.
No, I very much like Rutgers here too. I swear to God, I'm not trying to copy it, but I like Rutgers on this one. 4.5. You said it's jumped up 5.5. I could see this being a field goal game between these two as well. Go ahead and give me Rutgers, my friend. Now, here's a big nothing burger here. UCLA has to make that trip to Northwestern. This is a 3:30 start. It is in Evanston, Illinois. They're still playing at that makeshift stadium on the water. We don't know what UCLA is going to look like this week. What this team? It doesn't matter. They're going to be terrible. Don't get me wrong, but we don't know who's going to be suited up for this game.
Fuck UCLA, dude. I'm so fucking sick of them, bro. I am so fucking sick of them. First of all, this number's also changed too. This is probably going to be. I don't know if I'm going to bet on this game. I might have missed the window because money's coming in on Northwestern. The number's up to 6.5, which is again that's a big deal, right? That 0.5 point from the 6 to 6.5 is a big deal. I don't know if I'm going to bet on this game, but I'm damn sure I ain't betting on UCLA, bro. Gun to my head, I'm taking Northwestern, bro. I think that they're tougher. I think that they've looked better. UCLA, they're coming off of a bye week, but they look like absolute shit. And then now they don't have a fucking coach. And they handed the interim gig to the defensive coordinator because the offensive coordinator is such a fucking dumbass. We should have had Donovan on the show because the offensive coordinator was Tino Sinceri, who was the OC in Indiana last year. It turns out that guy did fucking nothing, right? Yeah. I mean, what do you do? It's bad. I think Northwestern is a tough team. I think that they've looked – they're not good. I'm not saying Northwestern is good, but they did not get curb stomped by Oregon. I think Northwestern's got a pretty tough too, and they're good in the trenches.
Northwestern and Oregon. If you watch that game, Northwestern gave Oregon fits in the first half of that game.
I know.
They really did. They really did.
Their defensive the Northwestern defensive line has probably 2 guys that are going to be in the NFL. That's half the defensive line, right?
Will chirping in here about your feelings towards UCLA.
Dude, I've lost so much money on UCLA this year already, and we're 4 games into the year, dude. Their UCLA, it befuddles me. UCLA is just weak. UCLA got pushed around by New Mexico. Northwestern's got a good defensive line. Northwestern has one of the better defensive lines in the Big Ten, in my opinion. So I don't know if I'm gonna put money on this game, but I'm damn sure you put on UCLA. And you're coming to Chicago. And it's going to be it's going to be next to the river. It's going to be next to the lake. It's going to be windy and shit, bro. Something to think about.
I agree with you. I'm not touching UCLA. I'm not going to touch UCLA the rest of the year. That the whole program is in shambles, and let's be honest, they've done it to themselves.
Bro, that's a great question. Let's look at their schedule. Well, we'll keep moving while I look up their schedule.
We've already talked Ohio State, Washington. No question there. This game, of course, is in Seattle. It is not a 12:30 start. It is a 3:30 start for you on the East Coast. 12:30 for me. It's nice. I usually have to get up on my weekend and start the pot of coffee, but I can only be acclimated and watch college football at an appropriate time for me. That's always nice. Indiana travels to Iowa City, Iowa, take on the Hawkeyes and Kirk Ferentz. Kirk Ferentz picked up win number, what was it, last week, my friend?
Oh, dude, I don't know. Who cares? That's
Okay.
He beat Woody, though. He's got more wins than Woody now officially?
Yes, he has more wins than Woody Hayes. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
But Indiana, of course, after the 63-10 fucking whomping of Illinois, they come in at a 7.5-point favorite. Josh, I'd be surprised if that. I wouldn't be surprised if that number went up in the last day.
So it has not.
Wow.
It's not.
Okay, then color me surprised.
It's going to be really interesting. We'll have to continue this discussion the rest of the week, you and I, maybe bring it up on the podcast next week, because I don't know where the money's going to go. I am actually considering betting on this game. I do think that Iowa's a good take here. I think that Iowa's tough. They've looked good. Iowa is low key one of the teams that I think could slide into the Big Ten championship game that no one's talking about. They've lost one game by 3 points to Iowa State, who might be the best team in the Big 12 by a decent margin. Okay. Iowa's tough, brother. Iowa's tough, man. There's not a lot. Their defense is tough. And here's the thing that makes Iowa different than Illinois. Okay. Iowa doesn't have when they get pounded, they don't really stop. Right? Like, they don't change their game plan. Illinois abandoned what the Illinois does because they were getting pounded so bad. Iowa doesn't really do that. They just kind of like look at themselves in the mirror in the third quarter and go, I think we lost this one. I guess we should run out the clock and try again next week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I see that. I don't know if a snowball is going to happen against Iowa just because they just don't fucking care. They will continue to run the ball. They'll run the quarterback powers. Gronowski has been he hasn't lit it up like everybody thought he was going to be through the air, but he has been a revelation of quarterback for Iowa. Whether people want to admit it or not, his ability to run, and his ability to take it between the tackles has added an extra element to that Iowa offense. And Iowa's still good.
No, I've only watched the Iowa State game. I'm going to give all the credence to what you're saying. I mean, that sounds like an Iowa team. That seems like an Iowa team of the past, tough Iowa team. If you were to tell me, hey, maybe Indiana, has a big win hangover and bumbles and stumbles into Iowa City, I could see it as well. I'm going to take Indiana here. I'm going to, but I'm going to do that just so if it goes the other way, you can just revel in victory come next week. I'm going to give you that. You
do it for my confidence after the Wisconsin smothering. Thank you for that.
Well, I mean, what was the week 1 game, or I'm sorry, the week 2 game? Buffalo, and who was it? You're like,
Michigan State. When he threw that fucking pick, dude.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was Western Michigan when the motherfucker, the backup quarterback, threw that pick, dude. I could have.
There it is,
bro. Will asks, Indiana takes care of business. Do we start believing? Dude, I always believe it. In Cignetti, I never count Cignetti out. This is not me bashing Indiana. This is different than last year. Last year, first of all, I went into the whole season talking about how great Chris Cignetti was, and how he was the best hire in all of college football. But I was like, didn't think he would be able to turn around that fast. No, he's turned it around, and he ain't going backwards. Their floor is 8 wins. Their floor is 8 wins, right? I mean, this is a team that is very capable of making the playoffs. I'm not shitting on the middle. I just think Iowa is.
No, I think Iowa is good as well, and they're a tough defensive team. I'll even prompt you this one, Will. I mean, after watching that Indiana and Illinois game last week, do you think there's anything on Curt Cignetti's mind after the way that crowd and that stadium at night was? You think there's anything on Curt Cignetti's mind other than hosting a playoff game right now? I mean, that's his goal. I mean, you're going to say, yes, Big Ten champions, what have you. But going to Notre Dame last season and having to play in that hostile environment and seeing the way that Indiana crowd was last Saturday night, I mean, that's got to be your goal.
He's just such a good coach. It's just he really doesn't he just doesn't. His mindset doesn't change. When you watch coaches, he's very much like a sexy Jim Tressel, right? Jim Tressel was kind of like Jim Tressel, he was the opposite, right? Jim Tressel was like, I'm going to run the ball this is my game plan is not going to change. If I do this, I'm going to win 80%, whatever it was, right? There was only one game where I think I saw Jim Tressel sweat. He's very much like that, right? Like Ryan Day and Urban Meyer, we both see, we as Ohio State fans, we know when those guys are panicking. You can see it in how they call plays on the field. Cignetti just doesn't do that. So that's one of the parts that makes it scary is that and Kirk, that's why I feel comfortable. And that's why I'm thinking about betting on Iowa because Kirk Ferentz is kind of the same way, only it's the opposite. Like Cignetti's I'm not going to change the way I think because I'm going to put my foot on your neck. Kirk Ferentz is very much all right, I want to get – it's almost like he's trying to coach the game to end the game as quickly as possible. Right. So he does it every week. So
it was a good analogy there. Kirk Cignetti is like Jim Tressel, but if Jim Tressel still smacked his wife on the ass when he walks through the kitchen.
Dude, exactly.
That's Kirk Cignetti, you know. That's Will jumps in. How much longer is Cincinnati, Indiana, Florida? ? I mean, it looks like there might be an opening in Florida. There's no question about that. It seems like those fans want blood, and that blood is their ball coach. But
it's not really his style to leave until he does something really impressive.
Right.
I don't know. And plus Indiana, the Indiana job compared to the Florida job, it's not like back in the day where one is significant. The Indiana, if Indiana can promise him to get better facilities where they're not sharing it with the women's volleyball team and shit, Indiana can be a powerhouse. There's nothing wrong with Indiana football. There just isn't, right? Especially with their alumni base. They in the NIL era, they should be able to do some damage. They just have to have some buy-in and they have to update those facilities. So I don't know why you would leave Indiana for Florida if you can be a god at Indiana and get the buy-in, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, it makes the whole sense. And let's be real. If Kirk Cignetti gets this team to another playoff berth, there's your buy-in. After a team that hadn't won a bowl game, since Jesus was a child. Cignetti's taken him to the playoffs twice.
Yeah.
I think there's your buy-in. Will chimes back in. Well, sharing with the women's buy-in might be an advantage. Hey, love it, Will. And the big game on the Big Ten schedule this Saturday night. I assume this one is going to be, like I said again, College game day. They will be at State College in Pennsylvania. They're for the game at Happy Valley. It is your 7:30 game. Josh, do you have a network for this one? Is this Herb Street and Chris Fowler on this one?
No, that's NBC, dude.
Oh, okay. So they're getting this is the whole.
Let me double check.
I wouldn't think so. Okay, makes sense. I did forget about that merger. Currently, home field advantage. I assume this is going to be a whiteout. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Penn State, a 3.5-point favorite. Has that number changed, Josh?
Has not budged. Hasn't
budged an inch, huh?
No.
I say we could both hopefully expect a lot of firepower in this game on both offensive side of the ball. Oregon's going to come. Penn State, at times, with all of these weapons, haven't looked as explosive as all you and I were thinking, to start this season or even in the off season. We haven't seen it just yet, but a 3.5-point favorite currently. What are we thinking?
Yeah, man, you got Penn State who's coming off of a big. They smash Villanova. They looked very smooth in that win, and then you give them a bye week, right? We talked about how they didn't look very impressive against FIU. That's ages ago now, and then you get to play at home against a West Coast team that you're going to be fired up for. That's coming off of. They're coming off of. They did beat the shit out of Oregon State. But Oregon State blows. Yes, they kind of play with their food a little bit too, right? They didn't come out of the firing like they usually do. Maybe they were looking ahead a little bit. I don't know, but I'm taking Penn State here. I don't know if I'm gonna put money on it, but I'm damn sure not gonna be betting on Oregon. I can promise you that.
I'm not betting on Oregon on this game. Obviously, in the hostile confines of Happy Valley, I have a hard time doing it. But I think the biggest thing I want to see in this game is obviously, like you said, hey, it seemed like Penn State might have turned a corner, maybe put it into second gear against Villanova. You might have stifled that with the bye week. But I don't really feel like you have to get Penn State up for this game. But I want to see I want to see, defensive side of the ball. Hey, what kind of defense are we looking for that Jim Knowles? Has Jim Knowles installed his gimmicky defense? Has Jim Knowles, shifted from that? How does this defense look? It's going to be a Penn State defense because it has Penn State players, without question. You expect a tough defensive line, defensive ends that get after the ball like their hair is on fire. And also at the same time, the other side of the offense, we know both those stud running backs, Singletary and give me the other one.
Allen, Kaytron Allen.
Singletary and Kaytron Allen, both of them return. Drew Aller's back. And, they've got two different, established studs in the portal when it comes to the wideout position. Let's see if this offense looks better than it did. That they abandon the run or it's all left on Drew Aller's shoulders fourth quarter. Don't make a mistake, even though you're covering an eye and it's going to happen. It's that car wreck scenario. Can Penn State win a big game, and can they win impressively, and can they look the part? Can they look like the Big Ten favorites?
Yeah,
a lot of people are clamoring them to be.
Yeah, and I know they started out slow out of the gate with Villanova as well, but they seemed like they were trying to do something. It was different than when you saw like Oregon was trying to win the game. Penn State was practicing against Villanova.
Right.
They were letting Drew Aller kind of really try to throw it deep and connect with Devontae Ross and Pena and all those guys. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And I think he had even threw interception that game. But you could, you could see that they were using it as a practice, and then they had a bye week. It's like, bro, I think that something's cooking. I really do think that something's cooking.
I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know if I got the balls to bet on it.
But no, I'm taking Penn State in this one. I'm a firm believer that I hate all you want. The beauty of living out here on the West Coast is noon I can watch Ohio State, and when about time I sit down for my dinner, I can watch Oregon and Penn State, and it's only 4:30, 5 o'clock. It is awesome, my friend. But no, that's the Big Ten slate. Go ahead.
So who's on bye?
We've got Michigan, we've got Nebraska, both on byes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
You've got Purdue on a bye as well.
And Purdue looked pretty okay last week. So Michigan looked good. Purdue looked good. I know they got beat by USC, but
Wisconsin's on the bye as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And Maryland's on a bye too, right?
And Maryland as well.
Yeah. Yeah, which, in my opinion, Malik Washington is the best freshman quarterback in the Big Ten, dude. That guy.
And Michigan State as well. But no, I agree. I think Malik Washington is the best freshman quarterback in the country at the moment, without question.
He's looked good.
That's a good point. Going to wrap it up here. Take a minute for any more comments or what have you. Any plans for the weekend, my friend?
Dude, just watching the football, bro. There is a toy show.
Okay.
At the local fairgrounds. So like old G.I. Joes and Hot Wheels and shit, which that's not really my bag, but might be a fun way to get out of the house for a couple hours, right?
Okay. See if anybody's got any cards set up. Also, you trying to find any of the old like champions or like the McFarlane like action figures of the players. Dude. Yeah.
Oh, those would be sick, man. I like those. Those would be sick. Those are usually Sunday activities. Saturday, my ass is usually plastered on the couch. Sunday, I let Justine run the show. We go out and do stuff. But Saturday, 12 hours straight, dude, ass don't move.
Love it. Anybody surprised that Devin Brown is being the backup in Cal?
Yeah, I was surprised initially, but the quarterback that they got was a 5-star guy. So there was a couple different things working against Devin. One is that Justin Wilcox was about to lose his job. 2 is that Ron Rivera just got there, right? He's the GM. 3 is that Cal was going to suck. Cal was nowhere. No one thought they were going to go to the ACC championship, right? Yeah. So they wanted, it's college football is more like moving towards the NFL, where they're wanting to, if they're willing to throw away seasons to see what they got and avoid transfers and figure all that stuff out. So they obviously were going to give that guy a shot, and it turns out he's great. That freshman quarterback was great. Now, with that said, they got destroyed by San Diego State in a game that no one saw coming. I think that there were 6 games where they're double-digit underdog won. That was one of them. That might have been the biggest one.
Right.
which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, I'm not shocked by that. It's a bummer. I love Devin Brown. I think he got kind of screwed in that whole situation too, because he transferred and then they hired Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
And it was like then they told there was just the whole vibe of the situation changed, and there was really nothing you could do about it. But what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, and it is what it is. Toy show this weekend, love it. I'm off for this is my last week off. I took that time since I've been back from the Philippines. I'm gonna
That's very nice.
Took the girls to the dentist today, and now
Fun.
I've got some stuff on the honey-do list to knock out, and the rest of the week's just kind of doing me, man. Gonna hit the gym, I'm gonna knock out. It's my last week of I'm in 3 classes right now. I'm gonna knock that crap out and
very cool.
Do a little bit of me, a little bit of gym, a little bit of dipping into some book reading, but that's about it.
I saw you to the beach last weekend, right? Just a nice
dude. Oh yeah, just a nice little Saturday stroll. Yeah,
very cool.
No Buckeyes, man. What am I gonna do?
Was that romantic, or was your daughter there?
That was the daughter and the pup were there.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yes, the daughter and the pup was there. Good chat with you guys again. Will, as always, good chatting with you. We will be back next Monday, same time, same YouTube channel. If you got a minute, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. Comments, we really appreciate them. We're gonna immediately respond to each and every one. You got a question that you want answered come next week, drop it in the comment section. We're going to make sure we get that and respond to it. We'll throw you up on the page next week. No issues, but we got a awesome slate of Big Ten football this week coming up, and we look forward to each and every one of y'all, or done all above. Love you, Will. We got an awesome week of Big Ten football coming up this week. We will be back next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will see you then. And, of course, as always, go Bucks.